निवासिनि विष्णु विलासिनि जिष्णुनुते.
We all revel in our misinformation and misconceptions.
Yeah, the other problem, big problem with Ram Madhav was that now these things used to be accepted up until few years back. अभी तो टेलीप्रॉम्प्टर वो ग्लास के सामने होता है, किसी को पता भी नहीं चलता है कि वो भोसरी के टेलीप्रॉम्प्टर से ही पढ़ रहा है. तो एक विजुअल एक आइडिया बन गया है कि वो ऑलमोस्ट तुम्हारे तरफ देखते देखते बात करेगा. वो नहीं हो रहा है. और आजकल विवेक, बेन शपिरो जैसे दीपक जैसे लोग एंडुटेट ऐसे ही बात करते हैं विदाउट लुकिंग एट एनीथिंग. तो राम माधव पूरा का पूरा स्पीच देते हैं अपने टैब के तरफ देखते देखते. वो भी एक प्रॉब्लम है.
Let me take it up first. Why are we here? Firstly, we are here because we have huge respect for Dr. Hajoni's valiant efforts in upholding the flag of conservative nationalism under most trying circumstances. Secondly, we are here to tell you that we share most of the ideas that you, the NATCONs, consider dear: God, religion, tradition, family, patriotism, nationalism. And finally, since yesterday, we have been hearing about the struggle story of the conservatives in country after country, from Hungary to Poland to UK to France to USA. 10 years ago, had we attended a similar conference, probably a similar sob story you would have heard from us too. But today, we came here to tell you about the success story of conservatism in India. The story of the defeat of the left, liberal, Marxist, radical Islamist cabal in India. Friends, first about this national conservatism. India is a deeply religious country. Conservatism is in its blood. The Pew Research Foundation's one survey suggested that almost all Indians, 98% to be precise, say that they believe in God. Roughly 80% in most religious groups say they are absolutely certain that God exists. To borrow the phrase of John Micklethwaite, India is, quote unquote, the right nation. Similarly, nationalism is also nothing new for us in India. Unlike in the West, there is no pejorative meaning attached to that word.
Now, imagine, guys, we are listening to this at 1.5. Imagine what the audience was going through. Listen to this in original speed. ये मोदी का स्पीड से भी मतलब स्लो है शायद. मोदी आई लिसन टू एट 1.75x 2x. अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी वाज आल्सो लाइक दैट. आज मैं 2 पंक्तियां कहूंगा. What's the point? I mean, imagine how stupid and low IQ the audience is that they have to speak in that speed, otherwise no one will fucking get anything. And which is usually misconstrued as bholapan of our Indian masses. It's not bholapan, it's low IQ. It has happened because of bad diet, colonialism, the countless famines, poisonous arsenic filled water, those kinds of things. ये भोलापन नहीं है भोसरी के. वो कांतारा में एक सीन है which really annoys me when people call it bholapan and not low IQ stupidity. That have you all watched Kantara? Everyone has watched Kantara. So when the guy threw the bomb at the police and Rishabh Shetty asks him that अरे बॉम्ब क्यों तो फोड़ दिया पुलिस के सामने. तो ऋषभ शेट्टी obviously wrote the scene as, I guess, भोलापन. So the problem is, a real life villager might have also said that, but it's not bholapan. The villager, I mean his Abu, that character's name was Abu. Abu replies, अरे तो जला दिया था, हाथ में फट जाएगा इसलिए फेंक दिया. So he is so low IQ that he doesn't understand that Rishabh Shetty is asking that why did you throw a bomb at the police? He thinks he is asking why did you light it and then throw at the police. तो ये low IQ चुतियापा है भाई. ये भोलापन नहीं है. ये सब बदलना पड़ेगा. इतना गांडू होने से नहीं चलेगा.
In fact, our entire independence movement against the British colonialism is dubbed as
M. Shastri, am I calling you low IQ? No. अरे how can you enjoy the slow pace? ये jazz है क्या? ये तुम्हारा मतलब एक अच्छा ambient, एक lounge vibe का बात थोड़ी है. बात 60-60 बोलो और निकलो और कुछ और बात करो. ये slow pace के साथ प्यार मोहब्बत कैसे हो सकता है?
national movement. Interestingly, India's main opposition party may not always stand for the values that we, the ruling party, stand for. They definitely don't call them as conservatives, but they call themselves as Indian National Congress. Nationalism, conservatism are not the other in India, like in US and Europe. India is national, and India.
Yeah, that's a great argument that if you're not a native speaker of the language of to then you'll. But why is he supposed to care about not the native speaker, and isn't he supposed to care more about the person who actually knows that language?
Is conservative. Friends, that is why we prefer to call ourselves or distinguish ourselves as cultural nationalists. As the name suggests, we derive our national identity from our ancient culture. Some call us Hindu nationalists. We don't mind that label as long as it is not misunderstood as religious nationalism. It's not. We stand not for theocracy, but for dharmocracy, in which the word dharma represents universal values that ancient India stood for.
Dambas Mishra is saying, no, he's speaking slow and proper. Where has he spoken faster than this?
Something like the 10 commandments for the Christian world that Yoram talked about yesterday. In short, cultural nationalism can be understood as the Indian equivalent of national conservatism. Friends, like you all, we too had to wage many battles against the left liberal ideology for decades after independence in 1947. In fact, one of my colleagues, Dr. Swadesh Singh, is sitting here. He called that ideology as the Nehruvian consensus.
Yes, Netaji also used to speak quite slowly. तो ये नेताजी का तो दोष नहीं है, वो तो ऑडियंस लो आईक्यू था, वो नेताजी को भी पता था. तो ये मोदी, अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी, इनका तो दोष नहीं है. दोष राम माधव का है क्योंकि इनका तो शायद मतलब ऐसा ही स्पीड है.
A liberal, socialist, secular, globalist ideology, which dominated India's ruling elite during the initial decades of our independence, championed by the first Indian Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru. Our religiosity was at stake. Our cultural identity was at stake. Our national unity was at stake due to that Nehruvian socialist secular ideology. But what we did was unique. We didn't try to take head-on at the political level alone. Instead, we built a strong, grassroots, popular conservative movement in India. Through decades of hard work by organizations like...
You see how inaccurate that statement is? ग्रासरूट्स कंजर्वेटिज्म मूवमेंट आरएसएस ने कैसे बनाया भाई? पूरा का पूरा देश है कंजर्वेटिव. कहीं पे रास्ते पे गे दिख रहा है, उसको मार दे रहा है. बेटी को बोल रहा है अपने कास्ट में शादी करो, ऐसे कपड़े मत पहनो. हर कंजर्वेटिज्म का अच्छा दिख, बुरा दिख, सब कुछ है. ठीक है, बंगाल में हर घर में सब कोई पूजा पाठ कर रहे हैं. उसको हिंदुत्व का मतलब जो कंजर्व करना है ये समझा नहीं पाए. नॉर्थ ईस्ट में ग्राउंड कनेक्शन कर लिए. तो ये कंजर्वेटिज्म मूवमेंट आरएसएस ने बनाए हैं, ये कैसा बात होगा? I think slow speaking adds to the gravity, especially for men. I guess it's an art form in the end. Therefore, in art, it can be subjective. So I don't see how Andrew Tate, Jesai Deepak, Vivek Ramaswamy, Ben Shapiro lack gravity in their speeches.
Like the RSS, a strong grassroots movement of resistance to liberal globalism was nurtured in our country. And it took some...
So, but actually, the dharmocracy term was, I guess, it's a start, but it is a bit of a problem because you just randomly conjured up a word. There's absolutely no scholarship behind it. There's even no awareness or even consensus behind it. You just thought of a term and you thought it's cool and let's use it. No one should do stuff like that.
Some decades, but when an appropriate movement came 10 years ago in 2014, that social conservatism nurtured for decades on silently at the grassroots was simply transformed into political conservatism.
But no one voted for BJP for political conservatism. People voted for BJP. Some people voted for BJP in 2014 because they were fed up with Muslims and they thought Modi is going to fuck them. And some voted because they were fed up with Congress's corruption. ये तुम conservative grassroots movement के वजह से vote नहीं मिला. 2019 में मिला because of Pulwama, and again good development stuff happening, and plus I think it's a nice Hindutva kind of a vibe going on. 2024 में दूध का दूध पानी का पानी हो गया है.
Cultural nationalists are today not only a dominant social force, but also a dominant political force in India today, led by Mr. Narendra Modi's government. Friends, I'm not exaggerating.
Dumbas Mish, I'll have to disagree with you, because even in the, like, speaking fast, of course, is a modern thing, but before that, people used to speak in that fake elocution sort of a tone. Okay, friends, Romans, countrymen, today we will do this and that. वो tone था. You all have heard Hitler's speeches, right? Dude is the greatest voiceover artist of all time. He's reading from fucking a jotted down complete speech, and he's giving it so passionately. His hair is falling to his face, and he's saying, So this kind of slow Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Narendra Modi kind of speech was never the norm anywhere. It was dramatic, melodic, and now it's fast. That it's a machine gun AK-47. There was no Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Narendra Modi phase ever in the phase, sort of a phase in the history of speeches, or at least powerful speeches.
When I say that a billion Indians stand up for this idea of cultural nationalism today, a billion, it's a big number. Even our political adversaries, the Congress.
Ajju, in what way? Didn't people vote for Modi because he was known as the guy who will keep Muslims in check, plus Congress? Congress is the most corrupt party in the history of Indian politics. Didn't these two things factor the most? Were people going to vote for Congress again after so much corruption charges? People were not pissed off with Muslims at all.
Party and others, whom we in our Indian political parlance, we call them as secular nationalists. We are cultural nationalists, they are secular nationalists. Even they cannot go against this popular sentiment of cultural nationalism anymore. Let me give you a very recent example. In January this year, a massive temple complex came up at Ayodhya in North India, marking restoration of India's cultural and civilizational glory. The old temple at the birthplace of Hindu god Ram was destroyed by invading Mughals in early 16th century. Like how millions of Jews yearned for the restoration of the temple on the mount in Jerusalem, 1.4 billion Indians yearned for centuries for the restoration of the temple at Ayodhya. They too waged many battles. And we succeeded in bringing the temple back through a judicial process in 2019. And when its consecration happened, Prime Minister Mr. Modi was himself present. That temple construction represented a new conservative consensus in India. And you know, the main opposition party in India, the leaders of the main opposition Congress party in India, their objection was not about whether it was secular or not. But the objection was, why Modi for consecration, why not me? Friends, that is new idea of India. A quintessentially cultural, patriotic, and nationalist. Let me tell you, this is not an exclusivist idea. Not against any religion nor any community. It is the reassertion of the conservative soul of our ancient nation. After we secured the absolute political mandate 10 years ago, we used this conservative consensus to take back everything that the Nehruvian liberals took away from us several decades ago. We ended socialist protectionism and promoted free market economy. Of course, in the last 20 years. I'm not just saying 10 years. From the 11th position a decade ago, today, India is catapulted into 5th or 4th largest economy in the world. We reclaimed our universities and academic bodies. We took back the media space. And we recently launched a new education policy to rebuild our academic curriculum to teach conservative values to our future generations, something that most of you are worried about in your countries. Friends, it's no longer fashionable to call oneself a liberal or a socialist or a secular in India anymore. Yeah. It's no longer fashionable.
Yeah,
on the contrary, it is cool to be a Hindu. It is cool to be a Buddhist. It is cool to be a Jain. It's cool to be a person of religion. It's cool to be a conservative. It is cool to wear your religion and culture on your sleeves without any fear of anybody criticizing you. The left liberals are cornered from all sides in our country today. They are in deep distress. They once controlled prestigious institutions like Jawaharlal Nehru University for decades. But today, scrambling for a foothold in some corner of the country. If they don't find it, they're all coming to your country, they're coming to your universities, they're coming to your media. But please remember, next time you find an article about India in one of these liberal media in your country, the NYTs, the WAPOs, talking about authoritarianism, oppressive atmosphere,
fuck, what the
democratic
fuck is
backsliding, etc., etc.
अरे मैंने राम माधव का पूरा स्पीच नहीं सुना था, एंड में ये सब क्या बोल दिया? अरे ये क्या फेरी टेल लाला लैंड, व्हाट द फक इज ही सेइंग? अरे ये क्यों बोल रहे हैं? अच्छा ठीक है, वहां पे अब मिल गए चूतिए बनाने को, उनको बता रहे हैं अब, ठीक है.
Just laugh it off. It is the wallowing of these desperate left liberals. Don't try to look at India from that prism, because they tell you that we are Hitlerians, we are fascists. We are actually great admirers of the Jews and their national struggles, but we are portrayed as Hitlerians and fascists to you. But do you know that they portray you as racists, white supremacists, and Christian fundamentals to our people? So don't take them.
ये राम माधव ने एक बढ़िया बात बोला है भाई. इसके लिए इनको हम 100 में से अब 30-40 दे सकते हैं, क्योंकि ये बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है कि भोसरी के हमको हमारे कॉमिक्स बोल रहे हैं कि तुम व्हाइट सुप्रीमेसिस्ट हो, तो तुम भी चूतिए जब कॉमिक्स बोलेंगे कि हम यहाँ पे हिंदू फैसिज्म कर रहे हैं, वो मत सुनो गांडू बैठ के. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है, ये राम माधव ने बोल के बहुत बढ़िया काम किया है.
On face value. Ladies and gentlemen, on a serious note, we may not fully appreciate the whole idea of liberal, conservative, this divide in India, because we come from a totally different civilizational background. But we share many ideas with you, the NATCONs. Yet there are bound to be a few differences. For us in Global South, conservatism comes with the baggage of colonialism and superiority complex. The trauma of centuries of European colonization and the harsh treatment meted out to our religions, our cultures, and our traditions is still fresh in the minds of our people. Secondly, we are a religious country, but we believe in freedom of religion. India is a land of many religions. At the root of Indian conservatism is the belief that all religions are valid paths to same eternal truth. We do not abhor religious diversity, nor do we insist that everyone should follow only one true religion. We actually celebrate diversity. Our understanding about religious freedom is a freedom to propagate one's religious beliefs, but not a freedom to decry or demonize others. Thus, while individual freedom of religion is sacrosanct, we consider institutionalized activity of proselytism, especially if it is pursued using force, fraud, or allurements, as alien to our worldview. At the same time, we jealously uphold the right of every Hindu, every Christian, every Muslim, and every Jew to practice his or her religion without any fear. Finally, we consider issues like climate challenge as real, and we disapprove of their denial. Ladies and gentlemen, these red lines notwithstanding, I'm standing here to express our solidarity with you in the battle for preserving your national identities, religious traditions, and social customs. In the emerging new world order, the left liberals are ahead of us in creating global networks and alliances. They captured institutions like media, academia, and spawned global NGOs. Okay, this is actually the answer to what Ma'am Pooja Shingla was saying. That I don't understand why Indian right wing wants to collaborate with US right wing. करना होगा, because the global left wing is united against all the conservatives of all the countries. तो थोड़ा manpower चाहिए, scholarship का manpower etc. algorithm manpower, ये सब चाहिए, ठीक है? algorithm power, तुम इसका share करो, वो तुम्हारा share करेंगे, ये सब चाहिए, ठीक है? तो and this is the answer basically. Using those instruments, they created a profoundly negative image about conservatism. They are attacking our national identities. They are destroying our family values. They are ruining our social and cultural fabric. They have promoted unbridled illegal immigration in the name of multiculturalism, destroying demographic and cultural balance in our societies. Demography is destiny averred August Comte. We realize this hard reality today as our streets are inundated with infiltrators and our social life became actually acutely unsafe. The left liberals took the human rights discourse to a dangerous level by promoting social promiscuity in the name of wokeism, tearing individuals, families, and societies apart. Those who stand up to this mindless menace are subjected to a harsh cancel culture. Ladies and gentlemen, in India, we checkmated these heteropolar forces. We built stringent laws against illegal infiltrators.
थोड़ा मतलब बढ़िया 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 अचानक चुतियापा, बढ़िया 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 अचानक अजीब अजीब आर्ग्यूमेंट्स, ऐसा उथल पुथल हो रहा है.
We tightened the noose around terror outfits and their overground support mechanisms championed by liberal elites in the name of human rights, etc.
Vaibhav has brought an interesting point that Western right comes under Indian left because they both hate India and Hinduism. In one way, yes, but it's not going to be a for many in the Western right. It's not the case anymore already, and it's going to be less and less the case. So but the enemy is common.
We put strict regulations in place to prevent global NGOs from digressing from their assigned duties of charity and playing havoc with our social, political institutions. It's okay, we are criticized, we are demonized, and we are disparaged by the global liberal elites. But we dismiss them with all the power a billion Indians give to us.
लो
Friend?
एक और बढ़िया सेंटेंस और फिर अजीब एक उल्टा पुल्टा आर्ग्यूमेंट जिसका कोई बेसिस नहीं है, और ये वैसे भी कूल लग रहा है क्योंकि मैं 1.5x में सुन रहा हूं. ये मतलब एक्चुअल स्पीड में कूल भी नहीं लगेगा और ये है भी बेसलेस. हमने 1.5 बिलियन जिसमें से 240 सीट निकला है, वो सब मिलके इन लेफ्टिस्ट भोसड़ी वालों का गाड़ मार दिया है. ये है आर्ग्यूमेंट इनका.
Friends, we are here at this conference to tell you that power of a billion Indians is ready to stand by our conservative colleagues from across US and Europe today. Let us build a strong global movement for conservatism based on principles of pluralism, inclusivity, and respect for religious diversity. Where our religions feel respected, societies feel secured, and governments feel free to pursue their national agendas.
I'm not laughing at Ram Madhav, I'm laughing at the comments, okay?
Towards building such a movement of global conservatism, we, a billion Indians, can be with you. We can be behind you. And if you may wish so, we can be in the vanguard. We can be in the forefront. Dr. Joni, thank you for this opportunity. Let me end by extending an invitation to you to come to India in 2025. We will be happy to host NATCON 2025 in India. Thank you. Namaskar.